Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of One Plus One, your place for inconvenient truth telling and myth busting. Today, we will continue our Africa series. The final chapters next week, starting next Friday with the island nation of Comoros. But on this edition of One Plus One, I am joined by longtime contributor Abayomi Azikiwe of Pan African Newswire and Black Agenda Report. We'll be covering current affairs on this episode because there is so much going on, and Abayomi offers always superb critical leftist perspective on the ever-increasing volatile world of domestic capitalism, imperialism, white supremacy, Zionism, and the incredible resistance to all of those evils. Now, don't forget to share widely. Facebook often blocks me from sharing widely, so it's important people share, like, love, comments, and more. It's our only way of overcoming the avalanche of junk journalism coming from, excuse me, folks, coming from corporate media, far-right media, and fake left media. And now on to the topic at hand. Oh, and also, don't forget, folks, to support my friend Chris, who is facing unemployment, and do donate generously to the eclectic radical. And a friend of mine who has been on the program multiple times, Fiona Sim. Sadly, their mom passed away in Indonesia, and her dying wish was for folks to just donate generously to Palestine aid. This is safe, it is transparent, it is not a spam, and so forth. So I'll make sure to post a link to that so that folks can donate generously. And now, on to the topic at hand. So first off, Abayomi, it is so great to see you after my vacation. I was in the Big Apple. I was in Harlem,
Yeah.
of all places, New York. So how's it going with you?
Okay. Great. Great. Everything's going good, and it's extremely hot, in this part of the world. There's a heat emergency. It has been for the last few days, so people are just trying to stay cool. Yeah, but there's a lot going on politically. Of course, the war with Iran is ongoing.
Yeah.
The Trump administration does not want to accept what it has agreed to on paper, and that is to pay reparations to the Iranian people, to rein in their proxies in Tel Aviv as it relates to southern Lebanon, and also that Iran will control the Strait of Hormuz. So in the next few days, they're having the funeral services of the now martyred Ayatollah who was killed in an airstrike during the first day of the unprovoked aggression by the United States and Israel. That will be going on for the next few days. However, the United States has not given up its imperial ambitions in the Persian Gulf throughout the entire West Asia region. So people have to remain vigilant in fighting, Zionism and imperialism.
And before let's park that for a moment. Before we get into that, I first have to ask you this. So the July 4th is coming up. We just had Canada Day and anti-Canada Day demonstrations and important web events denouncing the mythologies of the past and present, the reactionary policies of the current Canadian capitalist state. Now, I want you to explain why Black people, Latinx people, Indigenous people, and even queer people, as it is Pride period, why they shouldn't participate in celebrating the 4th of July. Because, there are, shockingly, many white socialists and white Marxists who think positively about the 4th of July. And I think some of us Black leftists and other, internal colonies are being too damn they won't say this, although some of them will say this, that we're being too damn woke, too damn PC about the 4th of July. What's your response to that, Abayomi?
Well, we can go back to Frederick Douglass's speech in Rochester, New York, in 1852, before the women's anti-slavery grouping. And the question was, what does the 4th of July mean to the enslaved person in the United States? And you can read that, and it can bring us all the way up to 2026. And what we see now with the advent of the Trump MAGA White House is that they want to reverse the entire process, not only of the Civil War and Reconstruction, but they want to take us back even prior to the 14th Amendment. The ruling this week by the U.S. Supreme Court upholding what they call birthright citizenship is very important, because even though Trump claims this is just targeting people who have come in recent decades and their offspring, the reality is the 14th Amendment was passed in order to give, quote, citizenship rights, end quote, to African people who were subjected to slavery for 250 years in the United States, and prior to that, the British colonies. So yes, it's important as far as we're concerned, because if they take all due process rights away from us, then in essence, you're more of an imprisoned nation than we already are. And we can see with the 15th Amendment, of course, being under attack, that is the right to vote for African Americans, initially African American men, and then, of course, after the passage of the amendment in 1920, ratification of the 19th Amendment, providing universal suffrage. And even after that, people had to fight for decades just to get the right to vote in bourgeois elections.
Wow,
so,
incredible.
Yeah, because in many places in the South, where the majority of African Americans lived, up until 1965, that right to vote was highly precarious. Places like Dallas County, Alabama, Fayette County, Tennessee, and many, many other areas, the African American vote was suppressed. And today it is being suppressed using other means.
Yeah.
The most recent, of course, being the redrawing of districts to make sure that there will be no Black representation in Congress in various southern states, where, as a matter of fact, majority of African Americans still live in the South. Over 50% still live in the South. So even though the Democratic Party is by no means what we envision it to be as a liberatory force, Republican Party now is just a cult surrounding Donald Trump. Nonetheless, abolishing these bourgeois democratic rights would further imperil African people inside the United States. So this is why I support the struggle for universal suffrage, for due process, and any other democratic right that we've had to fight for over the last 160 years or more.
It's your view on the 4th of July and why Black people, Latinx people, other internal colonies, whether it's Puerto Rico, America, Samoa, I believe still the Marshall Islands, as well as just in general the although Native Americans, Indigenous Hawaiians, Indigenous Alaskans, that the reason why they should not be celebrating the 4th of July, and I would even extend this message to our white socialist friends, our white Marxists, that, well, this is my summary of what we're celebrating when we're talking about the 4th of July and the current American state, and George Carlin is my reference point for this. That's now, what was it what was it that he said? He said that this country was founded by a group of slave owners that wanted to be free. So they killed a lot of white Englishmen to steal the rest of the land. So they killed a lot of white Englishmen so they could continue enslaving their Black Africans, stealing the rest of the country, killing all the Indians, killing all the brown Indians and brown Mexican, so that they could build room to drop a bomb on the yellow Japanese man. You know what the motto of this country should be? You give us a color, we'll wipe it out.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, he was a pretty profound, I wouldn't really call him a comedian. He's more of a social commentator that utilized levity.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how I would describe him. And, he goes way back decades. And, a lot of his stuff was banned from radio as well as television. So, yeah, I think he's on point in illustrating that. And I think that the white working class, even though it has been manipulated and is being manipulated now by the MAGA Republicans, have absolutely nothing as well to be celebrating in the current political and economic construct in the United States. A lot of them are suffering immensely, just like in Europe, but instead of focusing on the ruling class who is robbing them and exploiting them, they want to focus on Black people, brown people, indigenous people, women, anybody that they can use as scapegoats to carry out the biddings of the ruling class in this country at this time. And this is why they are focusing so much attention on migrants in the United States. You know, they've unleashed ICE and the Customs and Border Patrol, and they're carrying out all types of crimes against humanity that people are paying for in the United States and indeed around the world. So that is their solution to the current crisis, to pit workers against each other, to pit oppressed people against each other so that they cannot focus on who the real enemies are and work towards complete, genuine liberation and self-determination for peoples around the world.
Let me ask you this question. You already mentioned Donald Trump suffered a huge legal defeat. Now, sadly, on this month of Pride, the far right's pro-corporate Supreme Court has banned transgendered athletes, intersex, and non-binary folk, those who are women, from participating in, all-female sports. So inequality and discrimination is the law of the land. That's the bad news. The good news was this, though. But Trump's efforts to end birthright citizenship suffered a huge defeat. Tell us, firstly, why you defend birthright citizenship and why it's good the High Court delivered this blow to this extreme xenophobic far-right government.
Yeah, I believe that was an important victory. It appears to be a setback for the Trump administration. Their whole slogan of making America great again is really just a code words for making America white again. And they want to have exclusive rights for people of European descent. All you have to do is look at his cabinet, look at his press conferences, the people that surround him, and his venom and his opprobrium towards women, towards African people, people of Latin American descent. The only ones he gets along with are the ones that are willing to do his bidding. But the rest of them have no place in his administration and really have no place in Trump's America at this stage. So they've also declared that people from Haiti, for example, these protected status in which they enjoyed, largely in reality due to the oppression and suppression of their people by the United States, France, and Canada for centuries, really since the revolution of 1803, 1804. Haiti has not been allowed to develop as an independent state. So they want to deport them as well. Venezuelans, who they told to come to the United States to undermine the Bolivarian Revolution.
Yeah.
They're going to be sent back as well, even though Venezuela suffered two major earthquakes just over a week ago, a little over a week ago.
Yeah.
And they've already been suffering because of the blockade against Venezuela, the stolen assets and resources in terms of the petroleum industry. They kidnapped the president and the first lady, who still remain in detention in New York, in the United States. So these earthquakes are just giving them a greater opportunity to come in and dictate the future of that country, which is a very wealthy country, a large country, and that's why they're being attacked. Cuba as well is under vicious attack by U.S. imperialism. So there's a lot to be concerned about in the Latin America region as well.
Yes, I completely agree with you on that. And in fact, that is a revolution that's worth celebrating. The Haitian Revolution. I would also include. I would also include the Cuban, the Cuban Revolution, and we'll save this topic for another day. But I do controversially also think that we should be celebrating the Bolshevik revolution against Tsarist Russia, which was a brutal backwards aristocracy was encouraged to even be backwards and not industrialize and invest in social mobility so that they could keep the vast working class into indentured servitude, serfs, literally, and so forth. But yeah, no, it's outrageous what's going on in Venezuela, and unbelievable that the Bolivarian Revolution. This is a center left government, and I say that both as a compliment and as a mild criticism. And yet, the center left parties of Europe, Socialist International and Progressive Alliance, supports the ongoing economic terrorism, the kidnapping of Maduro and his wife, all under the bullshit that they're human rights abusing, communist like dictators, and all this other nonsense. That's just outrageous. Uh, hope, but yeah, and it's just disgusting that Venezuela is going through this earthquake, and the reason why it's even more devastating is not because of government mismanagement, but it's because of, as you said, the economic blockade and how people just don't connect the dots, and they just act as if these natural disasters, when they happen in Haiti, when they happen in Venezuela, oh, these poor brown black majority countries can't get their shit together. Let's give them aid. Anyways, it's blood boiling because
Yeah, they
the
the
European
corporate
Union
media.
supports the European Union basically supports the Trump administration's ongoing efforts to oust the Bolivarian government, as well as the pathetic, you know, liberal government of Canada. And Mark Carney, when he was the governor of the Bank of England, stole Venezuela's gold, which England still has.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're being true to their tradition, and that is theft, expropriation, and falsification. If you look at the corporate media coverage of what is going on in Venezuela, the horrendous humanitarian conditions, they're blaming it on the government, and they say nothing about the blockade against Venezuela, nothing about the kidnapping of its president and first lady, the killing of people doing that kidnapping. None of that is being discussed. It's all the fault of the Venezuelans themselves, who have been under tremendous pressure for well over 20 years now. So we have to keep all this in mind, and we have to be razor sharp when we listen and analyze these commentators in regard to Venezuela and Colombia as well, which has an extreme right wing government that's been put in office in the last couple of weeks. And we have to see exactly what's going to go on in Colombia. It could be a rewriting of the armed opposition to the state there. This government was backed by Trump, backed by the Israeli Zionist regime. So obviously, what they're going to do is not going to be beneficial to the Colombian people.
In fact, there's still, I don't know what's the latest happening in Bolivia, but there still is humongous, basically, it's a general strike against the
Yes.
efforts of the U.S. government and its allies to kidnap Evo Morales, the insurgent lead. Yeah, I would say he's definitely a leader of an insurgent left movement, and they want to kidnap him and throw him into prison, accusing him of all sorts of disgusting stuff, from pedophilia to drug trafficking, human trafficking, and so forth. It's all bullshit, of course. And the Bolivian masses, the Bolivian working class masses, largely indigenous people, are mobilizing against it. Meanwhile, Keiko Fujimori, the daughter of the far right goonish Alberto Fujimori, who unleashed right wing terrorism and racist
Yes.
suppression.
In Peru.
She was I wouldn't say she was elected because many people are saying that there was lots of American, Canadian, European meddling in the Peruvian elections that got her victory. In fact, some of our comrades, Anti-Conquista, and some other folks who are involved in Colombian solidarity say that Colombia did not abandoned its leftism and woke up one day saying we want far right stuff again. They say that to say that is demeaning the Colombian left and all the progress of the last several years, but certainly Western imperialism is to blame for this far right victory, just like in Peru, just like what they're trying to do in Bolivia, and anywhere and everywhere in Latin America, the Caribbean world, and so forth. And heights.
Yes.
Uh, and yeah, and I'm very curious your response to that because some people, there's been lots of debates going on in Venezuela. Now, I do think that it was a mistake for the current government to have extradited Alex Saab, but many people are defending the Venezuelan government, saying that look, whatever compromises, whatever the Venezuelan government, whatever mistakes it's doing, whatever compromises it needs to make, is because they have the Western imperialist boot on their neck and they're trying to do the best they can, short of just declaring war on the U.S. and whatnot. I'm very curious your response to that. Oh,
You're frozen.
oh, can you hear me now, Abayomi? Uh-oh. 1 second, folks. Oh, 1 second, folks.